What's good, pimp? In this video, we're going to be talking about how to make women chase you instead of you constantly having to chase them and play that fucking role that all us men are used to playing, which is being the chaser. So first of all, we're going to flip the tables. So number one is to go from a giver to a commander. Now, I don't know if you ever noticed, but if you look on TV, most of the time, say like in those segments where the relationship experts come out, maybe that daytime talk show or whatever the case is, most of the time, those dating experts, they say generic fucking advice. They talk about how the guy can make the female happy. And oftentimes that's the type of mindset we have, even when it comes to dating coaches. Everything is about making the woman happy, doing this, doing that, doing this, to make her excited, to make her this, to make her that. It's constantly leading to you giving. But the reality is long term, that shit is not sustainable. You cannot constantly be here giving. What happens when you give, and that person never has to work? We already know what happens. That person becomes entitled, they become spoiled, they become unappreciative. Those things that you give start to become less and less valuable, and ultimately they become a shittier person because it takes work, productivity, and consumption to make a person. You produce and you consume. Everything is yin and yang. Produce, consume. If you have a chick who is just constantly consuming and they never produce, especially when it comes to trying to impress you, trying to validate themselves to you, that is a relationship that is doomed to fail. So I want you to go from a giver to a commander. Take phrases like happy wife, happy life, and just shoot that shit in the fucking head. Throw that shit out the window. It's not gonna fucking happen. It's not the way to be, man. I know everything is set up to be where you are meant to kiss your ass, where you are, especially long term. Like, think about it for a second. Long term, they always say like, oh, to keep the relationship excited, you need to mix it up, you need to do this, you need to do that. But at the same time, it's always you need to do that. It's never you. Here's what I'm saying. You have to start commanding girls. You have to start becoming enthusiastic about the idea of commanding women to do things, whether that be sexually, whether that be date-wise, whether that be little physical things like them dressing up, or into more emotional things like them just telling them to open up more, to relax more during bed, constantly giving them commands. That's something that we're not conditioned to as men. We're conditioned to seek whether or not they like us, to see, oh, like, oh, do you like that, baby? Like, oh, do you, is that cool? Like, do you enjoy that? Instead of commanding shit. When you command shit, what happens is they'll do it, and then as they do it, they realize that they like it. They like pleasing you. They like being given commands, and ultimately, if you ask a bitch for head, it's just gonna dry her pussy up. If you tell her, suck my dick with conviction, if you tell her, suck my cock with conviction, she's gonna look at you, she's gonna feel that tension. It's gonna be a whole different situation. This not only applies early on, this applies long term too, man. By the way, bro, if it's your first time here and you're interested in dating, relationship, self-improvement, and motivational content, start now by hitting that subscribe and bell notification button so you can join that Unleash notification gang, bro, so you don't miss anything. So with that being said, bro, let's get back to the video. 100%. So number two is stop trying to make her do things logically. This is something. Damn, I just dropped my fucking phone. Stop trying to make bitches do shit logically. Here's what I mean by that, dude. Okay, so I know a lot of guys where they want to get their girlfriend to do something, say sexually, so they try to logically discuss the shit. They literally go, okay, we haven't been having sex, so I decided to sit her down and logically tell her how this is an issue, how we haven't been having sex. This is quite possibly the worst thing you could possibly do. This chick, first of all, when you met this girl, when it came to you dating her, when it came to you having sex with her, did you sit down and logically convince her why you're a good partner? Did you sit there and go, hey, I'm this, I'm that, I can treat you nice, I can do this, I can do that? No, you didn't, because if you did do that, guess what? You would have been friend zoned so fucking fast, it's not even funny. In fact, a lot of guys do this, and you know what happens? They get friend zoned so fucking fast, it's not even funny. That's what happens. They end up getting, because the moment you sit there, you try to logically list things, it's like you're just attacking her left brain. You're not attacking her right brain. You're not attacking her emotions, especially because of the fact that she's a woman, man. You have to come at, here's what I'm saying in terms of action-orientated actions. What you want to do is you want to associate whatever emotion that you want to whatever you want. For example, if I like threesomes with multiple women and I have a girl here who's maybe kind of shy, she's kind of defensive, she's kind of passive, slowly I want to associate sexual pleasure with threesomes. So I might start having sex with her, and bringing up the idea of her. Have you ever kissed a girl? Have you ever thought of a girl sexually? Don't lie, blah, blah, blah. I might start little things like that. Next thing you know, when I'm fucking her, I'm bringing up, oh, I would love to see you eat a girl out. It just makes me so fucking hard. Next thing you know, you're fucking her to threesome porn with 2 other chicks and whatnot. Now, slowly over time, her orgasms, her pleasure is now being associated unconsciously with whatever you want it to. Now, this doesn't only apply sexually, this applies conversational-wise as well. For example, if you want a girl to open up more, when she does open up, you reward her, you act positive, you give her a high five. Now, when she does things that you don't fuck with, you take away emotion. You don't give her negative emotion, because a lot of times emotion is emotion. There's a very fine line between excitement and anger. You get that adrenaline to happiness and whatever the fucking case is. So you don't want to associate emotion to things that you don't want to happen. You just don't want to associate negativity or nothing, like blankness. Whereas the things that you do want to happen, you want to associate positive emotions. So for example, I had a homie of mine, again, I mentioned in another video, he wanted to get girls to suck his dick, but they wouldn't. They all just coincidentally were like, yeah, I'm not really into sucking dick, or I think it's gross or whatever, which is of course ludicrous. But he would oftentimes have logical conversations on how, oh, you're my girlfriend, this is what girlfriends are supposed to do. And all that shit did was put more and more pressure. All it did was, everything is an association. If you associate her sucking your dick to a logical sit-down conversation, how do you think she's gonna feel? The moment she thinks about sucking your dick, she's gonna think about the pressure, the negative feelings, the, hey baby, don't you think you're supposed to suck my, like that type of shit, instead of associating it to sexual pleasure. And that's ultimately, that applies sexually, verbally, socially, everything. If you want something to happen, you have to associate positive emotions. A lot of times we just want to logically go, bitch, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Blah, blah, blah. But all she's feeling is negativity attached to whatever you want her to do. So for example, you want a girl to do something productive, get her life together, whatnot, you have to associate positive emotion too. You have to be like, hey, yeah, you have to make your website. It's going to be fun, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be times where you don't like it, but ultimately, blah, 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 blah. But if you're just like, bitch, get your life together, blah, 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 she's just not going to fuck with that shit. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is associating whatever emotion you want to whatever action you want, and that's what's going to get you to do the things that you want to do. Number 3, use the power of push-pull and not making yourself that available. Listen, early on, when you meet a girl, the first 3 months, that's the honeymoon period. After 3 months, she will inevitably try to tie you down and ask you for a relationship. Now, before this process leads up to it, let me put it like this. When you're seeing a girl, early on, I recommend seeing her 1 time a week, 1 to 2 times a week. Once you start seeing a chick 3 times or more, that's basically a relationship. Women, they just, something about 3 times or more a week and it's a relationship. She starts taking shit seriously, she starts getting entitled, and eventually she's gonna try to cuff you down. So when it comes to early on, you want to be able to use push-pull, especially early on. You want to show her that you're not in a rush. I'm not here like, oh my God, we just hung out today, what are you doing tomorrow? No, you let her do that shit. Ultimately, you give her the space to miss you. Give her the gift of missing. My point is that if you did not have pain, you would not know what happiness was. If everything was literally happy, how could you define happiness? Seriously, how could you define a good feeling if you only felt good feelings? You wouldn't. You can only define it if you feel something negative. That's why this life is 50-50, and that's why as humans we have such a big moral issue with just a life itself, because as much as we want to chase happiness, there's no such thing as happiness. There's no such thing as 100% happiness. That's why a lot of times humans, we go fucking crazy in terms of our existential crisis, because we never got told this shit in school. So we get this entitlement, this idea that I have to chase happiness, and if I don't reach this 100% happy dream, then I've been sold a fucking lie, and that's just not the fucking case. That's why with women, you do not need to be sold this fucking Disney lie that, oh, in order to be reach happiness, I need to be around the bitch all day in the house. Hey honey, all happy emotions, smiles all the fucking time, and women show you how much that dualism exists, because the moment you act all happy, the moment you just like high, the moment you just have sex where you're just all positive, you're never slapping the bitch, you're never rough, eventually what happens? Her pussy, it gets dry. It gets dry, man, because there's no tension. Tension is created between the duality of push and pull. That's why all these dating coaches, as much as they talk all this shit about it's just a lot of copying. Let's be honest. A lot of dating culture, it's just copying. It's copying. Everyone's just repeating the same shit. Don't be alpha, be confident, you know, give her a little bit, but don't give her too much. But no one can explain why. They just go, oh, well, if you do it too much, then she's gonna get bored. It's like, well, why is it? Because that's what it comes down to for most guys. They get so fucking frustrated. They're like, why do I need to be damn near schizophrenic just to be happy with a bitch? Like, what the fuck is wrong with these bitches? The logical conclusion is that bitches are just crazy. But in reality, it's not that bitches are crazy. It's that this life is kind of fucking crazy. This life is 50-50. And when you deal with women, you have to deal with that evil 50 and that evil positivity, that 50-50. If you have this moral conflict of being able to use both sides of the duality, trust me, she's not, and trust me, you will become a victim of that duality. This is something huge, because I think ultimately all these videos about dating and shit, sometimes they'll go into evolution, sometimes they'll go into shit, but what we don't talk about is the fact that this polarity of our universe it plays a role into everything. No one acknowledges that shit. That's why when you fuck chicks, they get off to crazy ass shit, every single one of them. There isn't a single girl I ever met where she doesn't get off to crazy shit. It doesn't exist. The 50-50 duality of life is so consistent. It's not even funny. It's kind of freaky sometimes, because you can manipulate women with those two energies the same way they do with men, in ways where most motherfuckers would not believe the shit that you can get women to do. And not only would they do it, but they'll do it happily, man. Happily. Crazy shit. Okay, now that got kind of deep, so let's just move on. Number 4, be dominant sexually. I'm not gonna get too deep into this step, but I mean, it goes without question. Ultimately, the difference between a friendship and a relationship on paper is sex. Let's just be honest. If you are not being dominant sexually, then eventually it's gonna get old. It's gonna get boring. If you're not willing to vary shit up, or that's another reason why that's why this channel is so focused on mastering the sides of evil and good with women. Because once you can master this side without having this moral fucking conflict, you can do things that no other guy can do. You can do things in the bedroom that no other guys do. Because a lot of guys, some guys, they get the idea that, okay, I'm gonna be super duper rough, I'm gonna be slapping this bitch all the time, but then they don't know how to be affectionate. Other guys, they're super affectionate. They fucking the bitch like they in a fucking Trey Songz video. Girl, I wanna make love to you, and all this type of shit. Meanwhile, you scared to slap the bitch. Are you serious? Grab your fucking balls together, son. Slap that bitch. She gonna like it. She's gonna like it. Bitch, you gonna like it. One bonus tip I would give is a lot like the step number 1, is become used to being verbally commanding. That's the number 1 tool you have in the bedroom. I know we think it's our dick, but it's really our voice. Our voice has so much power. Think about the fact that women, they read erotic novels. Men don't read erotic novels, okay? We look at pussy and ass, and that's enough. I'm not about to read. What does that tell you? That women could literally read some descriptive, the thing is describing the room, it's describing that, describing how she feels, describing how he feels, and all this type of shit. They read that because it turns them on, because they're emotional, they fuck with it. And ultimately, if you can learn how to use your voice to speak evil shit, speak good shit, mix the two, affection, aggression, simultaneously in bedroom, you will be a dominant motherfucker that 99% of motherfuckers are not. Even dudes who are dominant in bed, they don't feel comfortable speaking. And a lot of times, even when we do talk dirty, most guys, we don't know how to talk dirty without basically copying porn. Yeah, you like that bitch, blah, blah, blah. We don't even know how to speak in our real voice. This was something that I actually had to deal with personally, because I got to a point where I was talking to bitches like I was some 15th century motherfucker in the bedroom, and then afterwards I'd be talking like this, and it was kind of weird sometimes. And eventually got to a point where I just became comfortable. I got my own voice, and now I could talk to chicks with whatever voice. Sometimes I'll be more intricate, I'll be more smooth, descriptive. Other times I'll be like, bitch, you need to twerk that ass right in front of this dick. Number 5, ultimately, is to stay on, like my guy MS says, stay on your purpose, bro. Stay on your destiny and have ultimately a purpose that you're chasing that is bigger than any female. Because the moment you focus on your marriage, the moment you just focus on your relationship, there's a lot of guys, they get this idea. They're like, okay, I got a job, I got this, now I finally got my average girlfriend, and now their life becomes their average girlfriend. It's like you have no bigger picture. You got that job, you got that average girlfriend, and now you're just a straight line, man. You're not even climbing, you're not focusing on progressing, and ultimately that that's going to lead to you being way too needy, being way too reliant, thinking about what is she doing at this time, what is she doing at that time, because you're not on your shit. You should be focusing on what you got going. What's the plan for tomorrow? What's the plan for next week? What's the project you got going down in 6 months? That's what fucking matters ultimately, and that's what's gonna make women chase you, because they realize that you have something much bigger than them, and ultimately that's what they want. They don't want to be the focus of your life, because they know that they're a basic bitch. So they know if you focusing on them, then you can't really be shit either, because come on, at the end of the day, you are a man. You have something bigger than women. Women are a great cherry on top. They're like, it's great to do a bunch of, this is great to put in a lot of work and then come home and just be greeted with a nice warm hug, that female energy. It's a nice release, but ultimately it's even better when you're doing that productive thing first. Just think about the fact, when you do something really productive for a long time and then you finally do something entertainment, you really enjoy that shit. Whereas if you just do some entertainment shit, you're just consuming entertainment for 8 hours straight, what happens? You tend to feel like a cheap fucking whore, like a prostitute of entertainment, just consuming. You feel cheap by the end of it. By fucking having your shit together, having your thing, not only is it gonna benefit her, it's gonna benefit you, it's gonna benefit both of you, and ultimately it's gonna last long. You never know what's gonna happen with that female, but ultimately your craft, your work, it will always last forever. Just like this video, every single blink, every single breath, every single word I speak. Maybe I'll show this to my son in the future, and he'll be like, hey man, my pops was kind of fly, yo. He was talking that shit, yo. Motherfuckers, he was ahead of his time. Thanks, son. So if you enjoyed that kick-ass video and you want to see more on dating, relationship, self-improvement, and motivational content, start now by hitting that button right there. Hit that bitch right there so you can join that Elise notification gang, bro. And if you want to continue your journey, see that video right there. So with that being said, bro, release your best. And remember, till next time, confidence is bred by competence. Peace.